Hi, Velkommen, my name is TheNordicDane, and today we're going to talk about Deathloop for PlayStation 5. Can I? No, yeah, that's closed. See? That was the drunk man! Did you see that? Did you see that? Okay, I see if I could do an instant replay. I don't know if this actually works, but look. So when PlayStation 5 came out, this was one of the first games that was actually revealed during the state of play. And for me, it looked super cool. I loved how it looked with like these special kind of almost like animation or drawing graphics integrated within an actual video game. And it reminded me so much of Dishonored that I was like, yeah, I kind of need to get my hands on this game. The game is created by Arcane Studios and is developed by, and let me see, I actually don't know how to pronounce this game, whether it's Bethesda or Bethesda. Hopefully you're a gamer enough to know what I'm talking about. Arcane Studios is already known for creating the other Dishonored games, as well as Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Doom. It is a first-person shooter game, which I personally do not like normally. But this one had kind of its own flair to it, which is why it was so interesting to me. It's an action-adventure game that is both played single-player and online, though the single-player mode is definitely the most interesting one. And I found myself only playing the online mode once when I was like pushed into it by the game that forced me to do it. Basically, online mode has the whole game within itself, where you have the arch enemy basically trying to catch you, but this arch enemy is then portrayed by the computer, rather the online mode where it's actually portrayed by someone else who's trying to mess up your game. Which I think is super interesting, that you can have someone come into your game and basically be the counterpart to you and try to mess up your game and your progress in the game, because that's what the whole game is about. However, I did find myself not to find anyone to play with, and so sometimes I would just be in the lobby for I don't know how long until I quit and was like, I might as well just play the single player mode instead. The story of this game is basically that you are this character called Colt. You don't know much except that the fact that you wake up on a beach, then you go through your day, you die, you wake up at the beach again, and slowly as you do this, you progress in the story as well. You then find out that you only have one day to kill 6 people in order to break the loop, in order to escape the island. The way that the game works and how it introduces you into the story is really difficult and confusing, but I think that's also a part of the game. The fact that it's not giving you every clue just laid out there and then you have like a storyline you have to progress through is basically something that you slowly start to take in every time that you play the loop. And every time that you play the loop, you become smarter as well, knowing where the enemies are and how to make it faster for yourself. But I did feel like there was a little bit too much of the here you go and do whatever you want. At least in the beginning, but then later on it makes total sense. But I just felt like there was a little bit too much of that. When it comes to the graphics of this game, it has 3 modes. It has the ray tracing mode, it has the performance mode, and the quality mode. And because of this kind of style, there isn't actually that much of a difference. There's a slight difference between the ray tracing and the quality, but the overall changes are so minimal that you won't really realize that they are there. I must say, I really adore this kind of cartoonish style that they put into the game. The fact that it is so different that it doesn't look like any other first-person shooter games, that was honestly one of the biggest selling points for me. And the fact that I like this way of like restarting the loop, kind of like Groundhog Day, and that seems super intriguing to me. The fact that you have to like get all this information in order to create the overall whole. Even though there were no glitches for me, one of the most annoying things about this game, and probably also one of the only ones, is the fact that the sound would change every time an enemy were near or if the arch enemy was hunting you. I found this extremely annoying because every time that you would go into some sort of battle, you would shoot people up, then you could run away, and you could hear when they were stopped looking for you. And I really found that super annoying, the fact that there wasn't any kind of like surprise attack or anything like that, because the music would always build and would always be different because people were looking for you. When it comes to the game mechanics, and especially the weapons in the video game, there are so many different kind of weapons, and I found myself only to be using 2 of the weapons. Even though I unlocked some extra super cool weapons later on in the game, I found myself not using them. The way that the game works is basically in the beginning, You have these weapons. Every time you die, you lose all your weapons and all your gear. Later on, you then know how to infuse your weapons so that they will carry on from one day to the next day, or the same day, I guess. But once I've infused some of my weapons, I realized I'm not going to use the old weapons. There's no need for me to use other weapons. And so I kind of felt that I reached maximum peak way too early in the game. And that was even though I got some extra special weapons where you had to solve a puzzles and blah 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 on a specific time of day in order to get this weapon. Those weren't necessarily better than the ones that I already had. I really do, however, appreciate the use of the adaptive triggers for the PlayStation 5, and they are used to perfection. I love that about this video game is the fact that, you know, all these different kind of weapons, even though I tended only using one or two, was the fact that most of the weapons, or at least the different kind of styles of weapon, had the different types of feel whenever you were shooting them. I wish there was a little bit more different kinds of weapons, but the ones that they had were pretty good, and it kind of felt nice to actually take a use of these adaptive triggers. When it comes to the overall score on this video game, I must say for me, I actually felt like this was a 5 out of 6 Viking helmets. I want to give it a 6, but the problem is there's just like these things where I felt like I wasn't challenged enough later on. It was super challenging in the beginning and try to get a foothold of everything. And then suddenly you just reach maximum and then you just felt like you had to just play the same day over and over because you already knew how it was gonna end. And you knew that you couldn't necessarily finish the game this day. So you might as well just skip this night and then just kill yourself or die and then respawn in the morning. I do, however, really want there to be a second game. I really like this, and I love the abilities that you have, just as in Dishonored. I feel if Dishonored is something that you enjoyed, you would definitely enjoy this even more so. There's a clear semblance between this and the Dishonored game, but there's also a little bit of a semblance between this and Returnal. If you haven't watched that video already, I've already finished the video game and it's up here for you to click. Returnal is also a great game, and I would also highly recommend that. They have the same plot with the fact that you wake up kind of like Groundhog Day. Every time you die, you wake up, start from scratch. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please go and hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. It means a lot to me. And if you're on Twitch, please go and give me a follow. My handle is TheNordicDane. And as always, vi ses.